Under the dim lights of a suburban area, once Secretary Huong's secret headquarters, the sound of hurried footsteps and tense radio chatter filled the air. Jack, who had been silently planning for weeks, finally made his move. He coordinated closely with the police's Special Investigation Unit to execute a lightning-fast strike, hitting the heart of the underground network Huong had built. Under Officer Tien's command, the authorities simultaneously stormed the hideout, capturing all the fugitives before they could resist. Though Huong, the mastermind, remained at large, dismantling her inner circle was already a significant victory. Those arrested were the key players in a plot to sabotage Jack's company. They had believed they were in control, manipulating everything from the shadows. Now, they faced prosecution, ready to pay for their long chain of criminal acts. At the police station, charges were filed one by one, closing the door on the futures of those who once thought themselves untouchable. Jack and Tien knew this was only the beginning. The battle wasn't over as long as Huong remained free. But for now, justice had the upper hand. Jack's company, which had been under threat for so long, finally saw a glimmer of stability. A faint light pierced the darkness. Meanwhile, in a hidden hideout deep in the city, Secretary Huong was experiencing the tensest hours of her life. Her instincts, honed by years of illicit operations, screamed out as she noticed something was wrong. Her subordinates' phones went dead. The operatives tailing Jack and the moles embedded in his company had all gone silent. A chilling silence, heralding imminent danger. She knew, if they hadn't betrayed her, they had been captured, and if that was the case, there was no time left. The meticulous plan she'd spent months perfecting had officially collapsed. With her usual composure, Huong silently packed her things. No panic, no disorder, only absolute urgency. Every item she placed in her suitcase was vital: forged passports, cash in multiple currencies, backup SIM cards, and a compact handgun hidden within her coat. Everything was prepared for the worst-case scenario: fleeing the country. Within minutes, a private car arrived to pick her up. She slid into the back seat and gave a terse order: to the international airport. No stops. Wind rushed past the window, and her long hair fluttered in the fading light. Her gaze drifted into the distance, contemplative but anxious. She knew, if she didn't pass through airport security today, her free life might end behind cold steel bars. Elsewhere, in the Central Police Office, Officer Tien, who had been closely following this case for months, received the latest intel from the field. Standing beside him was Mr. Deng, a longtime family friend of Jack's mother and strategic advisor to the investigation unit. His eyes locked on the surveillance monitors. The operation was a success. "We've got them all," a field officer reported. Tien nodded but showed no sign of relief. "Huong's still on the loose. She's not like those clueless henchmen. She won't wait to be caught, she'll run." Immediately, Mr. Deng pulled out his phone and called airport security. "Freeze all international flights. Detain any passenger named Huong or matching her description. Search every area, departure gates, lounges, check-in counters. Activate red alert status now." Within minutes, the entire international airport went into emergency lockdown. All flights were rechecked, passenger lists scrutinized. Undercover officers moved discreetly across all zones, from the entrances to the VIP lounges. Facial recognition scanners and surveillance cameras were activated in sync, scanning for every detail that matched Secretary Huong's profile. In the airport's main terminal, Huong stepped out of the car, pulling her sleek suitcase behind her. She walked calmly toward the check-in area, her demeanor unnervingly composed. A long coat masked her features. Dark sunglasses hid her expression, and her stride exuded the confidence of a successful businesswoman. But beneath that exterior, her heart pounded furiously. She knew she couldn't show fear. A single flicker of hesitation or a clumsy gesture could draw attention. Yet the feeling of being watched clung to her every step, as if she were being hunted. Every move tracked. Her instincts screamed at her to hurry. She had to pass through security before anyone discovered her. "Excuse me, we need to inspect your luggage," a voice called from behind. An airport security officer blocked her path, not overtly suspicious, but his gaze pierced through her sunglasses. Huong gave a faint smile, shrugging as if it were routine. "No problem. Go ahead," she replied, her voice soft, though inwardly it felt like 100 knives stabbed at her chest. Back at the central control room, Officer Tien and Mr. Deng were now present. Intel confirmed the suspect was likely within the check-in area. The two split their teams, one to the departure gate, another to monitor security footage. "If she gets on that plane, all our efforts go to waste," Tien hissed. "We can't let that happen." The clock showed 11:47 p.m. The international flight was preparing for takeoff. All eyes were on the baggage screening area. Inside, Huong waited while her luggage was inspected. The officer checked item by item, nothing illegal, but his gaze never left the woman before him. Time ticked by with unbearable tension. Every second felt like fate knocking at her door. Behind her, a group had just entered, the team included Tien. She turned briefly, scanning the area. No familiar faces, yet her instincts howled. "They're here." The boarding gate began to open. Passengers trickled through. Huong kept her breathing steady, walking with calm resolve. But behind her, officers in plainclothes were closing in. Would she make it on board? Or would everything end here? Huong tightened her grip on the suitcase, her eyes ablaze. She wouldn't allow herself to be caught, not now. Not ever. The final boarding call for the flight to Frankfurt echoed overhead. The crowd began moving faster. Huong merged into the flow, her e-ticket ready on her phone. Everything seemed flawless, her alias, the expertly forged passport, a well-calculated escape plan. But behind her, the atmosphere subtly shifted. From the airport security network, a voice crackled through a walkie-talkie. Target likely at gate 17. Female, long coat, black sunglasses, curly brown hair, approximately 1.65 meters tall. Task force. Converge immediately. Simultaneously, Tien locked eyes on the surveillance screen. The gate 17 camera had just captured a frame, the anxious eyes. Signature black suitcase, and familiar gait. He pointed directly at the screen. That's her. Move in. 2 directions, front and back. Don't let her slip away. Mr. Dong signaled to the undercover officers, posing as passengers from the start, to close in on the target. The hunt was no longer hypothetical. It was real. Huong sensed something was off. Passengers who once seemed ordinary began to slow down, drifting apart, almost clearing a path she hadn't asked for. Her sharp eyes, trained from countless escapes, noticed the odd glances, the unnatural movements. Then, a faint metallic click behind her. Security had pulled the pin. I can't get caught here, she muttered. If they hold me, everything ends. Instantly, Huong turned, pretending to check her phone, slipping to the left in search of an emergency exit. But ahead, 2 airport staff approached with determined eyes. Excuse me, we need to verify your passport again, one said. Huong forced a smile, trying to remain calm. Is something wrong? I've already checked in. Just a confirmation. Please come with us. Every instinct in Huong screamed red alert. She knew, following them meant no return. In a flash, she swung her suitcase, striking one officer in the head and knocking him down. Then she dashed toward the nearest emergency staircase as alarms blared. Chaos erupted like a scene from an action film. She's running. She's heading down emergency exit B. An officer yelled into the radio. Tien bolted. Seal all basement exits. Lock the emergency elevators. Deploy the K9 units. Through the terminal connector, Huong ran faster than ever before. Her heels had flown off, bare feet pounding the cold tile. Red alerts flashed across the airport. Lights blinked. Announcements echoed in multiple languages. This area is under security lockdown. Passengers, please remain calm and do not move. Outside, SWAT units had sealed all access roads. Overhead, thermal drones scanned the area. Huong reached the end of the corridor, where one emergency door led straight to the runway. She swiped a forged key card. The door swung open. Bright runway lights lit her sweat-drenched face. But just as she was about to cross into freedom, freeze, police, hands on your head, face the wall, a voice roared from behind. Huong spun. Officer Tien stood before her, weapon drawn, his eyes cold as steel. Behind him, a dozen armed officers aimed their weapons, ready to shoot if she resisted. Silence. Their eyes locked in a final standoff. Huong stepped back, reaching into her coat, but in a split second, a rubber bullet struck her arm, knocking the object from her grasp. She collapsed but stubbornly tried to rise. No words of surrender, but there was nowhere left to run. Cornered from 3 directions, Huong was subdued within seconds. Hands cuffed behind her, head bowed low, her eyes still burned with fury and despair. Tien stepped forward, peering into the face of the woman who had shaken the entire city. The game's over. Huong, you lost. A deep sigh echoed from Mr. Dong as he watched from the surveillance room. He turned to Jack, who had just received the news.